What's up, everyone? It's Adrian from Adrian's Awesome Accumulation. Today, we're going to be going over the Asra Ninja Kaname from Kotobukiya. So, before we do that, let's take a look at the front cover art because that's all I got. So, you guys can kind of see right there, and it is really cool. It has like this nice, like black background with like the, like red highlights right there, and you got the illustration for the Asra Ninja right there, which looks cool. Let's take a closer look at it. Ball. All right. So yeah, here we have the illustration, the artwork, which looks really cool. Like kind of like falling while throwing like her ninja star right there, which is pretty neat. And I like how it's like her artwork right here is all glossy, while the back is like kind of like matte. So that's pretty cool. And then we have all this stuff right here. She is part of the Megami device line, I guess, and Kotobukiya right there. So nice cover art. All right. Now let's take a look at the model kit. And here we have her, and she looks really cool. It's like this cool, modern take on like a ninja. Like I don't know if it's like, I would say like present day or like futuristic kind of, but yeah, she looks cool, and I really like the color scheme right here. This black, red, and white. It looks pretty neat. So let's take a look at the articulation. So where her arm popped off right there. That's one kind of does, but I feel because it's not loose, but it's like tight. So like I want to move it like with ease, but you know, I have to be careful. But yeah, so her arms do come up. So there's that one that popped off. This one hardly ever pops off, but it did today. So there we got. Her arms can go up that high. It's not exactly a T, but more of like a wide looking Y. So her arms go up that high. You got articulation at the elbows right here. And she can move her wrists. It's pretty cool. And then see, this arm does tend to pop off quite a bit. And then you just got to be careful when you're like moving her around. But yeah, actually, let's keep her arms up. And her legs can go do the splits about that. But that's only hindered because of these armor pieces that she has right here. But she can do a side kick. You have her like standing, have her arms over here, looking. So yeah, move her like that so she can get it doing her side kick, which is pretty neat. And then her legs do bend back that far, so you can get her in kind of jumping poses. And then she does move at the thighs right here, which is pretty good if you want to get her like in those like anime girl type of like poses, like right here, kind of like a Chung-Li, like winning jump. Her arm keeps popping off. Let me see. Oh. Now it doesn't want to go back on. Hold on. Because I have it angled weird. Alright, but yeah. See. Yeah, so you can get like kind of like in a Chung-Li victory pose right there, which is pretty neat. Let's fix up her hair. And her hair pieces are articulated as well. So you can move them around. You can move them up or down. You can move them to the side. No, you can get them up kind of like this, which is pretty cool. Kind of looks like she has like dog ears, right? So yeah, so you get her in the Chung-Li victory type pose, stuff like that. You can also get her like in, like this kind of cool looking pose right here. Like imagine if she had like, like swords and stuff. And, she had like her weapons right here. And then you can get just like, we're doing like a ninja cyclone type of thing, which is pretty neat. So yeah, there's stuff like that. And her, she does have articulation right here at her feet. You know, you can get her feet going up that high, going back that far. Then she does have an ankle rocker right there. And I kind of like that she has shoes, right? It gives her like that athletic, you know, type of look. Like she's like an athlete type of ninja, which is pretty cool because usually they come with like you know, like sandals or like, you know, like those like see-through like shinobi type of feet. But it's really cool that she has shoes, so that's pretty neat. And the armor. So that's pretty much it for, you know, her articulation and stuff. She can get her doing cool stuff. She does have, you know, since she's a ninja, she can do the ninja kick, you know, right there, bam, and you know, leg comes down like that, and it still looks pretty cool like this, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it for her. We'll have her standing right here while and her leg came off too. But these are things that, like, right now it's because I'm like handling her, right? But like when you have her and you're posing her, you're going to be much more careful. So it's like less things will pop off. I mean, things will still pop off, but you know, it won't be quite as frequent. But yeah, let's get her standing right here. And I'll see you in a bit for the accessories, if I can get her standing. All right, you guys, and here we have everything she comes with. So let's start off with her ninja star because this one looks pretty cool. All right, so here we have her ninja star, and as you can see, it's pretty cool, like kind of like design, right? Kind of triangular, and it is like, however, all, you know, like her weapons are like red, and then the ninja star thing is all black. So you might want to paint it up to make it look a little bit better. And what I kind of like to do, like paint when I have like the model kit right there. I kind of like to paint it in the color scheme of, you know, her. So, you know, I'll probably add some like white, and then probably like on the handles right here, probably like white, you know, some black, and you know, make it like more like look like her. So that's what I kind of like to do when I paint stuff. If I'm not gonna like recolor it entirely, you know, if I'm just gonna paint like a few things here and there, I kind of go for the color scheme of the model kit. But yeah, so this is pretty neat. And these weapons do come off right here. See, you could just slot them in to like this little thing right here. You know, it has the form of the handle. You just put that in, and it comes off. So that's pretty neat. And then you have this like little peg right here, and this is because it pegs on to her. So it's pretty cool. You could peg it onto the shoulder right here, which, you know, it works, but it's pretty big. But like, you know, maybe you have an idea to pose her like this, so you can do that. You know, her grabbing her, like, you know, she's like looking somewhere else, and then, you know, she's gonna like go in and grab her ninja star or something, right? So that's pretty neat. And then it also goes on her back right here. That's pretty cool. So you got that. You know, that's how she looks from the front and from the back. And also you could take these off and still have that thing right there. So that's pretty cool. And then she can also, you know, she can also grab it right here on these like handlebars. So like, you know, she can grab it. So you can use it like as an accessory, as like her throwing it or like blocking or some stuff like that. So that's pretty neat. And these things do come off, the weapons or little kunai knives right there. And so these are separate accessories too, right? And what's cool about these can also go onto like her side armor pieces right here. So that's pretty neat. Right? So that's pretty cool. So, you know, she can be all like armored up and, you know, like have weapons at her disposal for any pose that you might want. So that's pretty neat. And, you know, she does come with, so it's like 4 blades, right? So, well, yeah, 4 blades. So she does come with an extra one. And, you know, you can slot one right here into her ninja mask as well. So that's pretty neat. Just slot that in. And bam. So now she has one, you know, like on her ninja mask as well, you know. That's pretty cool. You know, it kind of gives you that guys that see Naruto, you know, that one guy that used to hold his, you know, blade in his mouth and stuff like that. So you can have her like arm that pops off, man, is annoying. But yeah, you can have her like going for her like her sword in her mouth, right? She's like in a stealth mission and stuff, and she's gonna go and grab it, like her knife, or some like just in case, like she's discovered or something, she'd take it out, kill whoever's like like there, or something like that. But that's pretty cool. All right, so there we got her weapons and stuff like that. And then she does come with an extra faceplate. Most of these model kits come with like 3 or 4 faceplates, and this one only came with like 2. So it's like this ninja one right here with the mask. It's just the mask covers. She has nothing right here on this face. Of course, it's just the mask that's put there, and then just the eyes. So she comes with this one and this one, which is just 2. Which is kind of like sad. I wish that she came with more, but what can you do? So there's that one, and then she comes with 2 extra like kind of feet right here. Backwards, but yeah. So this is pretty neat if you want her like more like lounging around or something like that. But I like the shoes, so I don't think I'll ever put these on. And then the different hands she comes with. She comes with 2 closed fist hands. She comes with 2, pointing, grabbing hands right there. And then she comes with another 2 pointing, grabbing hands, but this ones have like these pegs right here, which are not movable. So you put these on and you won't be able to move her wrists. But like if you want to have her like in a steady like pose where you don't want those wrists moving around, these are those. And then you got 2 open wide palm hands right here. And then you got 2 slightly open wide palm hands. And then you got 2 grabbing hands with the peg. So like if you don't want them that wrist moving around, you're gonna go for these. So that's all the accessories that she comes with. And stick around and I'll show you her poses. Pose 1, down but not out. Pose 2, from above. Pose 3, Ninja Cyclone. Pose 4, Master Assassin. Pose 5, Falling with Style. So there's the review for the Megami device Asra Ninja Kaname from Kotobukiya, done and finished. I hope you guys liked this review, and if you guys did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. God bless and bye.